Good afternoon and welcome to the Alex Urbina radio show. We are broadcasting live from Newhall, California, right here in your hometown station, KHTS. And joining me in studio, I have Ron, the Coach Tunick, joining us. Thanks for being here today. I appreciate you taking the time.
Filling in for the starter.
That's right. That's right.
Coming out of the bullpen,
that's
baby.
That's right. You can't. You're not gonna be able to fill those shoes, but you can try.
I would never fill those shoes. I wouldn't even try to. But yeah, I just got to tell you, this is my favorite show. Listening to you and my wife every Friday at noon. I've learned so much. It's changed our marriage in such a positive way. The ability for us to communicate with our kids and our grandkids, listening to you for the last several years, you're a blessing, man.
I appreciate that.
And we consider you an angel. We really do.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
that means a lot to me.
From our heart. I mean, true story. So today we're going to talk about millennials, huh?
Yeah, the title of the show is Feedback to Help Millennials Win Big. And so as a life coach, my job is really to help notice some of the things I think are getting in your way. And I want to talk a little bit about feedback to start. Feedback is more like an observation rather than a judgment. It's things that I've noticed. So imagine as a coach, right? You're a coach and you've been a coach for many years.
Business coach, not a life coach.
But whether it's business or in sports or in life, your job as a coach is to observe and notice what might be needing some course corrections to be effective, correct?
Correct. When I'm coaching a business, I will go in. I won't even take the client on unless they allow me to observe for a week or two, because I've got to see how they deal with their vendors, their customers, their employees, how they handle pressure. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes on. So you're right. The word observing is absolutely the bottom foundational thing that we have to do as coaches.
Yeah, and I love the word observe because it's neutral. It's like I don't have a judgment. You're not bad and wrong because I've noticed this. It's just something that I can see, and I just want to point it out to you. So I want you to listen to this show and listen from...
And it's free. The show is free.
It is free. And I'm hoping it's going to create some value for millennials, for young adults. So as they're listening, I want to invite you to listen from a place of being neutral and take some insight from it and see if where the hat fits, and if the hat fits, wear it, make some course corrections so you can create something extraordinary for yourself. So here's number one. Number one is I've noticed that there's some limiting beliefs that some of the millennials might have. And a millennial is probably someone who is about the age in today's world. They're about 21 to about 32. And I noticed that you might have a belief system or a limiting belief that you don't believe in yourself to the level that past the level that you're stuck at. What that means is that there's a possibility you have a limiting belief that you're not capable of creating more in your life. Therefore, you would be stuck at the current level that you're at. It's almost like you just settled for wherever you're currently at, the current results you have. You just settled there because there might be a limiting belief that maybe that's all I have.
But every generation, I mean, you can go down to age 12 or 13. It seems to be a tendency that we all have, unless you're willing to take a risk. So can I ask you this question? How do you learn to take a risk? Because if you don't take a risk, you're going to limit. You're putting yourself inside a cage, like a bird cage.
Absolutely. I can tell you, I can't speak for everybody. I can speak for myself. I think what I learned when I was a young man was I had to redefine the word risk. Risk for me back in my early 20s, it was a scary word. But when I redefined the word risk and created the kind of meaning that risk meant that I was going to put myself out there and I was going to do something that I didn't know if I can create it or not. And I just had to be willing to get out there, out of my comfort zone, and just try it.
You were an athlete.
I was an athlete.
Athletes have to take a risk.
That's right.
So my question to you, because you're dealing with millennials, you're dealing with teenagers, you're dealing with young people all the time, and I've always asked this question: if you're not in some form of a competitor, whether it's music or sports, how do you learn to take a risk? Because not taking a risk puts you in that as you say, limiting belief cage.
Yeah, and you know, like you're alluding to, is that if you're an athlete, you get those chances to take risks out on the baseball field, the football field, volleyball court. But if you're not an athlete, how do you do that? And how do you introduce yourself? So for me, I think it's more of a decision that you have to make. First, you have to see the value of, if I take a risk, all of the rewards that I'm looking for are out in the zone called taking a risk. And I have to believe that that's possible. And then I got to practice it, or I got to try it, or I got to believe that that's where all my results are going to come from. And I got to go out into that little area and keep practicing how to get myself out of that comfort zone.
So you see the basically what you're saying is, when you use the word value, you're looking at the end game in order to work back to be able to take the risk. Is that a layman way of saying it?
Yeah, like when I say value, I mean, what's the result you're committed to creating?
So all right, I want to get a job. Let's talk about this. So
okay, great.
People get stuck. I love what we're doing today, because most people they limit their belief system. And they get stuck, right? They get stuck at work. They get stuck in an unhappy marriage, or unhappy family, or unhappy friendship, whatever, because they won't take the risk. But so let's go back to, how do you start if you're not in a competitive environment like you were and I were? How do you learn to take a risk? Because failure, if it's looked at as failure, the Chinese say, get knocked down 7 times, but get back up on the 8th time. So everybody gets knocked down. Everybody, right? It's how you get up. It's how you show up. And it's the ability to believe in yourself. Self-confidence, to me, is the foundation to everything you do in life. But it also is a part of what you just said. If you have an openness about yourself and you have self-confidence, you're less likely to limit your belief system. But let me go backwards. How do you start to take a risk?
So in order to start taking a risk, again, you got to see the value that you'll create from getting out of your comfort zone and taking the risk. That's a starting point. Do I see value? So, Coach, do you see value in the next project that you're excited about? Do you see value in whenever the next stage of your life is going to be? What's the value you see there? And once you can start to see that value and talk about that value and visualize the value, now it's got you excited. That's the starting point. If you can see the value of it, that's what causes the motivation.
Could I use the word result instead of value?
You can.
Okay.
You can. They're the same thing. The value is just whatever it is that you're yearning for. It's the thing that you desire most. It's the thing that you really want.
So kids go to college because they're anticipating to get a better career, better employment, make more money. Am I correct on that?
I would assume
so
that's
what, the result of going to college,
correct.
Right?
But a lot of those results don't excite kids. They're not excited to go do those things. They're not excited to get, like for you and me, I was excited to get my driver's license.
Yeah, you're kidding.
Kids today, they're like, I know.
I'm not going to beat up the younger generation.
So the excitement of seeing something valuable that's really big, I think, is stage one. You have to be excited about something that's so valuable that it just gets you fired up.
That's interesting. The show is called the Alex Urbina Radio Show, every Friday at noon. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, I have a show on, as you know, every Friday at 11, but this is the best show on KHTS. It has the most value, as Alex says. You listen to the show every Friday, I guarantee you will grow your life, and you'll be so thankful for listening. So I love the word excitement because you're so right. If you're not excited about anything, you're gonna stay stuck. Your limited belief system, whether you're 14 or 22 or 32, if you're not excited about the next venture, you're not going to do it.
That's right. So now let's talk about this excitement. Another thing that I've noticed when it comes to giving millennials feedback so they can help get themselves to the next level is I noticed that a lot of them don't have a big enough vision or a burning desire deep inside to create something extraordinary, so intense that you can't sleep at night. Have you ever been excited about something that you just all night you're tossing and turning because you can't wait for the morning to come to start working on something or doing the research, or there's no fire inside of some of these kids that they're just like, man, I can't wait to get up tomorrow morning to run with it.
I was excited. I couldn't sleep last night thinking about the radio show I did at 11 today, the Edge Radio show. I was excited about your show. But is it our DNA? I've been struggling with this most of my adult life. Do you think we're born? I get up every morning happy. I get up every morning with energy. I get up every morning thanking God. I've been this way since I've been a teenager. I'm excited about life, but a lot of people aren't. I like that word excitement. How do you find it? But the bigger issue is the word you used, which was the burning desire. That's the difference between being a successful person at any level. If you don't have a burning desire to be kinder, burning desire to be a better husband, a better friend, a better anything, how do you get a burning desire?
Yeah, the burning desire
Can you buy it?
You can't. You have to develop it from within yourself. You gotta try new things. Like, this is why, like, when my kids were little, I used to tell them, go try new stuff. Go take a dance class. Go try acting. Go try DJing. Go try different things. When you're 14, 15 years old, till you find that one or two things that they got a little fire burning inside of you. It's go out and try new things until you find something that you go, ooh, this gives me the chills. Or, ooh, every time I'm here doing this, I lose track of time. Those are great indications that you found something that has a burning desire in it.
Do you like this word, experiment?
Absolutely.
What about encouraging everybody at every level to experiment?
Absolutely. But constantly, even when you are successful, even when you have created results, you should always be inquisitive and be excited to try new stuff. Look, you're a successful man. You're still trying new things all the time. You still come to me and go, hey, I got this great idea. I don't know if it's just part of you, that champion.
I'm a curious person.
Yes.
I'm very curious.
Yes, and that's a starting point. Be curious about what's next for me. Be curious about what else can I do on this planet? What else kind of a difference can I make before I die? Like, you have to have that burning desire. Now, one person that's in the news right now, Kobe Bryant, rest in peace, had this burning desire as a little kid to be a basketball superstar. And he would fire that thing. He would spark it and re-spark it every day, all day long, to the point that he developed this inner champion inside of him that was so relentless that people around him didn't know how to perceive it. They called him arrogant. They called him all kinds of different names because he had this burning desire to win, to the point where he was calling out other teammates because he wanted to win so bad. Imagine being around somebody that wants to win more than you and they're on your team. At some point, you either got to get off or you got to get on the train called, Mamba Town. And so it's more about having this burning desire to just not be okay with where you're at. And believe it, I have hit moments in my life, and still do, currently, even now, where you just settle and you go, I'm okay. But every once in a while, when you do a check-in, you got to go, am I okay being okay with where I'm at? And if not, let's spark a new spark inside you and go, okay, what's next? And then give yourself permission to dream again, to create a new vision, to figure out from where I'm at, what can I create now with where I'm at with what I got.
The Alex Urbina radio show every Friday at noon. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, you listen to the show, your life will change for the better. If you want a better life, every Friday at noon on KHTS award-winning 98.1 and 1220 AM. So it's called Mamba Mentality, and what Kobe said was try to do better every day, every day. And it's just what you said. He would annoy his teammates. He would absolutely. So it's get on the train or get off the train, and a lot of people got off the train.
Yeah, because he said, I'm winning. He decided a long time ago, since he was 5 or 6 years old.
Yeah.
I'm winning, and nothing's going to stop me.
Yeah. Here's what I would say to our dear listeners in the Santa Clarita Valley, also out at Palmdale and Newhall, is that no man's an island. You can't do it by yourself anymore. And I would encourage people to find you, Alex, because you can make such a huge difference in young people's lives. That's your specialty, helping young people get to the next step and the next step and the next step. You can't do it by yourself today. There's too much competition. There's too much this. There's too much that. Alex or somebody like myself, I'm a business coach, not a life coach, but Alex will find a pathway And if you find a pathway and get excited about that pathway, you can accomplish anything, right or wrong on that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Here's the third one that I want to talk about: feedback from observations I made about millennials that might be stuck. It appears to me that there are some millennials that, because they know that they're extremely intelligent, that I think they have an assumption that because they're intelligent, success should just fall out of the sky and land on their lap. Or they think that because I'm smart, smart's good enough. And in today's world, being smart and being intelligent by itself does not create results. You can be the most brilliant mind in your head, but if you don't put it into some kind of an action, if you don't put it into some kind of motion, if you don't move it into some kind of creation or project that actually creates results, then you're just a standing, immobile computer brain.
Well, I agree 100%. I mean, there's so many educated derelicts out there, and when you look at, as you said in the first segment, trying to get away from limiting your belief system, and we talked about experimenting life. I love what you said to your kids, but you have to find a way to take your intelligence and communicate it in such a way that people want to be involved in your life. And to me, that's the hardest part. You can be smart, you can have all the talent in the world, but if you can't communicate it in a way where people say, I want to listen to you, I want to hire you, I want to be involved with you, it's going to be challenging.
Absolutely. And
do you talk about that to young people?
I do.
Okay.
I do. And especially the part where we're talking about being intellectual. And the reason why, because I've been a part of being part of the interview process for Fortune 500 companies. I have the honor and privilege of being invited to sit in some of that process. And it's so heartbreaking to see these highly intelligent kids coming in with their master's degree, their PhDs, and they're in an interview and they can't make eye contact with you, or they're looking down, and you can feel the tension of their insecurity because they haven't developed the emotional intelligence. They haven't developed the beingness. They haven't done the leadership development within them. They haven't found that inner champion that exudes out of the intelligence they have up here. And so it's heartbreaking to throw those resumes into the trash. I'm talking about scholars, because they came in and they just didn't show, they didn't have a fire inside of them. And that's a great example of, you can be the most intelligent person in the world, but if you can't light yourself on fire and have people be attracted to the burning sensation they get of watching you be on fire, you're gonna fall. You're just gonna stay short and stay stuck somewhere.
It's so interesting. What you're talking about is a language of success, and my wife Ellen and you have been involved the last couple of years, and I listen to the show every Friday, but she'll come home and we'll talk about the show. We'll talk about her getting inspired by you, and then she passes this on to our daughters and our grandkids, and she's trying to help them do exactly what you just said. Find a way. It's an art and a science to be able to communicate.
Absolutely.
Because just what you said, everything you said is 100% true. You can be the smartest guy in the room, but if nobody knows it, or you don't create a culture in which people want to gravitate to you, you're not going to get hired either.
Absolutely. And I agree that learning how to communicate when you're young and having parents that open up a space for you to share and try to struggle to find words to articulate yourself is part of that emotional intelligence and that development that I'm talking about. If we grew up in homes where we were used to being spoken to by our parents, but never really had a space.
Old school, baby.
That's old school, right? You only heard your parents. You never spoke to them.
The communication was going one way.
Right. But in today's world, you got to open up a space and invite your kids to come in and find their own words to articulate themselves and find their own voice, which also might mean that they might challenge you. And a lot of parents don't know how to take that. And so they see that as disrespectful, or their fear comes in of, oh my God, I'm gonna lose control because my daughter's finally finding her voice. Now I need to put a stop to that. And then what you end up doing is you end up squashing that little spirit inside of them that they're trying to discover for themselves, that ends up becoming a mighty champion one day.
I think that's one of the biggest challenges as parents. We're going to take a break here, but we'll come back and talk about one of the biggest challenges that parents and kids have today. It's the Alex Urbina radio show on KHTS, 1220 AM and 98.1.
We'll be right back.
The best live theater can be found right here in the Santa Clarita Valley. The Canyon Theater Guild has been entertaining audiences for decades with top quality musicals and plays. Located on Main Street in Old Town Newhall, CTG also offers workshops for the young actor in your family. For more information, call the box office at 799-2702 or go online to canyontheater.org.
We all know sometimes people lose their way. If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, the Way Out Recovery SCV may have the answers you've been waiting for. The Way Out is the premier intensive outpatient treatment center serving Santa Clarita. Asking for help is the first step. Call the Way Out today, 661-296-4444. That's 296-4444 for a private free assessment. The Way Out is an accredited, affordable outpatient program that accepts most insurance. Call us at 661-296-4444 or check us out online at thewayoutrecoveryscv.com. Quit battling with yourself. Ask The Way Out for help today.
This is Bradley Gross from Santa Clarita Grocery. Santa Clarita Grocery serves fresh groceries to families, individuals, and those experiencing homelessness. At Santa Clarita Grocery, out of every dollar donated, a full 99 cents goes directly to the needs being addressed. As an all-volunteer-led organization, we operate on a 1% overhead, receiving no government funding for our operations in the community, resulting in us being one of the most efficient charities in the Santa Clarita Valley. If you're looking to support the good for our community, please consider partnering with us by donating to Santa Clarita Grocery. What is donated is specifically kept in the Santa Clarita Valley, helping over 3,000 families, including 5 other community charities. Please visit our website, santaclaritagrocery.org, or visit us on social media or call us at 425-7575. That's 425-7575.
Hometown, your hometown station.
And welcome back to the Alex Urbina radio show, broadcasting live from Newhall, California, right here in your hometown station, KHTS. Sitting next to me is the coach, Ron Tunick. Today we're talking about feedback to help millennials win big. And feedback is more like an observation. So as a coach, my job is to observe neutrally, find something that I think it might be getting in your way, and then figure out how to explain that to you in a loving, neutral way so you hear it as though I'm on your team. I'm giving you this information so that it stings, but not stings to the point that you make up a story that I'm against you or that I don't want you to win and all that kind of psychological stuff that could get in the way.
I don't want anything to be stinged. I've struggled all my life. Ellen will tell you this. It's my biggest negativity, and I work on it. I'm getting better. Thanks to you and Ellen, I'm getting better. But all my life, I fought against criticism, that if somebody said something that was trying to help me, I didn't see that they were trying to help me. All I saw was they were trying to hurt me.
That's right. And that's why I like talking about the distinction between feedback and judgment or criticism. And when you get a coach or a mentor or even a business partner or a friend that's on your team and you know that they got your back and you now have solidified, I trust you, you will all of a sudden hear their feedback and their advice. You hear it in a different way. It's like your wife and go, how come, Ron, I can give you advice and you think I'm coming down on you, but Mike, your best friend Mike, says the same thing to you, and all of a sudden it's like the greatest insight in the world, right?
Well, Mike teases me about my tummy. But, just to patronize you for a second, you have really helped me the last 2 years listening to your show because I don't take the same whatever Ellen says or somebody says is criticism anymore. I really don't.
Awesome.
So
I love that. That's great. That's great
think
feedback to me. That
it is. I credit you. I mean, ask Ellen. Every show she comes home, I love your show. I know you're busy. Do you take on new clients now?
I do.
And how does somebody get a hold of Alex Urbina?
They'll just call me. I'm at 661-505-5021.
Too fast. Give you the phone too fast. 661.
I'll give it again at the end. How about we leave it as a teaser?
Back to helping millennials win in life.
Yeah,
right?
helping millennials win.
What does that look like to you?
Through giving you feedback. Winning to me is that you're moving forward, that you're trying new things. You might be failing at them or falling short of the result, but at least you're out there giving it your best. Like the Mamba mentality. The Mamba mentality is just give it your best. Give it your all. If you're not giving it your all, giving it your best, you're doing just average and ordinary. You're just being status quo. And I'm not saying that there's something wrong with status quo either. I don't want people to think, well, because I just have a regular job and just have a regular life, that's okay too. As long as there's not a part of you that wishes you had more. If there's a part of you that wishes you had more and you are living status quo, then there's a conflict. But if you settled and you like what you settled and you've designed your life to go, I'm good with this. Like this is like I can die happy just being where you are. Then that works for you.
It's interesting. I would think that most young people do want to get ahead, and that frustration sets in because they don't know how. So hire Alex.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Let's get now to one of the next.
We should do a website called Hire Alex.
Hire Alex.
Or call Alex. Oh no, call Alex.
Here's one of the next things that I've learned or observed from helping young people, including the millennials. The next feedback or observation I have is that it appears to me that some of them have such a loving team of supportive people in their life that might possibly be enabling them, right, by making it too easy for them in their life that they're just satisfied with what they got. And the reason why I know that is because there's a part of me as a father, I have to struggle and fight every day with telling my kids no. And I tell them no, and I've learned and developed a behavior pattern now, and it's actually in my book, The Inspirational Parent, where I talk about the algorithm that I use for every request that my kids give me. And it's usually out of every 5 requests, it's 3 no's to 2 yeses. And the reason why is because I'm a softie. If it was up to me in my heart, I'd say yes to all 5 requests. So I have to force myself, and I've been doing that since my kids were little, because I knew that if I enabled them and say yes to all of their requests, then I would rob them from the opportunity for them to learn how to figure things out for themselves. And so if you're possibly a supportive person or a mom or a dad or grandparent who loves your kids to the point where you might be part of the problem that's stunting their growth, or you're a millennial or a young person looking around going, you know what, maybe my mom, she gives me a little bit too much, and that's why I feel safe and comfortable here. Why would I have to do anything different? Why would I have to find an inner champion or a burning desire to do anything when all my meals are made? You know, I get a gas card, I have a credit card to do stuff. As long as I just make my life comfortable right here and it's just fed to me, then there's really nothing extraordinary that I have to do. And it was funny is because when I drove into the show today, your guest was talking exactly about this same thing. And I don't know if you caught it, but you were talking about how successful he was. And he looked at you and he said, I had no choice. He said, I had no choice.
He did say that.
That means he didn't have a family that was going, here, son, here you go, kid. Here's an extra $100. He had no choice.
But he
so
said,
it forced him to rise to another level.
Right, but if you, and I know you did listen, but remember, he started at 4 in the morning, went till 8 at night. This is a complicated conversation. We're going to run out of time. 2 questions I have you. I don't think, and I'm generalizing, I apologize to our wonderful audience. You're listening to the Alex Urbina Show. You better listen every Friday at noon if you want to change your life for the better. Here's my 2 concerns, and it's a generalization. I apologize. I think parents today want to be friends to their kids, just what you were saying. And so you're talking about enabling. So if they just want to be friends and they don't create guidelines, or there's not discipline in the conversation, or they don't know how to discipline, or they don't know how to create a culture in which the kids respect what their parents are saying, then they are enabling them. So talk to me for a second about what I just said. Do you think parents today are trying to be friends with their kids rather than being parents that have guidelines and create an environment where there are pathways that the kids need to follow so they don't get into trouble?
I do believe that, but I don't really like the term. I know somebody created that term about our parents are more interested in being their friends than parenting them. And I understand why someone created that. I'm going to change it up a little bit and introduce the possibility that it's not necessarily I would want to be my child's friend, but as a parent loving your kids because they're yours and you co-created them and you fell in love with them, and I think it's more about we want to be loved by them. We don't want them to suffer. And because we don't want them to suffer, we're going to jump in and try to save them or support them or give them or bail them out. And I think that from people on the outside looking in, they've justified that as you're trying to be their friend rather than being their parent. And so what I think happens is because we love them so much and we don't want them to suffer, we jump in to try to save them from the suffering. And you combine that with not learning on your own how to develop leaders or not being taught how to develop the leader within yourself. Because I lack that, I don't know how now to teach my son or daughter how to be a leader. So you take those two combinations of loving you so much and giving you everything because I don't want you to suffer, and I don't know how to develop you as a leader. Those two components causes a kid to now be someone who lacks the ability and the confidence to go out in life and endure and persevere and have the heart of a champion and keep picking themselves up for the 8th time and keep moving forward. So I think it's more, that's my psychological point of view when it comes to the parents, wanting to be their friends more than being their parent.
So question, listening to Alex Urbina radio show, and you can contact Alex. How do you contact you?
You can reach me at alexurbina.com.
Okay. So question, nature versus culture. I'm listening to you very carefully. Young millennials, or let's say even teenagers, 16, 17, 18, up maybe all the way up to 30, they're trying to pull away and be independent of their parents. How do you balance all that?
So there's this natural phenomenon as human beings that when we become 9, 10 years old, we start to realize, oh, I have my own voice. I have my own mind. I can actually think for myself. My mom and dad have been actually being my managers and being my guidance for so long, but at 9 or 10 you go, oh, I can think for myself. I can choose for myself. And what parents don't realize is right around that time is where you need to change your parenting style. You have to change the parenting style from the manager or controlling style parent into more of an advisor, coaching style parent, where you're asking open-ended questions and you're learning how to develop a leader, and you're learning how to teach them to be a leader, and you have to be more now of a teacher, coach / mentor rather than that controlling parent. And most parents no one's ever taught them that, so they stay the controlling style parent like a fist. And then you have the natural phenomenon of a kid who wants to find their own voice, discover their own wings, go on flights for themselves, and then that causes the friction. So one of them's got to give. Either the parent realizes, I can't keep controlling you, honey, I'm sorry, I'm going to learn how to now be in partnership with you and help develop you, right? Or the kid just gives in to the dominating parent, and then now you have a kid who's just gave in and has resided to, I'm just going to be controlled by my parents for the rest of my life.
Come on, Coach Alex. Where do you learn how to parent? Come on, you're going to high school, you're going to college, and all of a sudden one day you tell mama and pa that you got a baby coming. Next thing you're a parent. Where do you learn how to do all this?
There are parenting
classes. Is that a good question?
It is a great question. I don't know if I'm going to have a great answer for you. Parents, when they have their kids, it's almost like we live in this illusion that because I have 30 years, 20 years over this baby and I have nothing but love for it, I'm just going to love the heck out of him. I'm going to love the heck out of her. And they think that that's enough. But I think the average person stops learning after high school. we don't keep developing, we don't keep growing, we don't keep discovering, we don't keep evolving. There's no life class after high school or after college. There's no wisdom classes out there. There's no parenting wisdom 101. And if there are, and I know there are because I have several classes that are offered out there, people don't see the value of going because they think, they live in this illusion that I got this. Until, guess what? One day my phone's ringing and you're calling me saying my son is hooked on heroin and he's almost OD last night. He's going to die. Is there something you can do? Meanwhile, that parent has missed 3 or 4 years of some of my advertising to get them into teen classes, teen workshops, teen leadership development. They won't spend the $75 or $150 to get them in the preventative work, but now they'll mortgage their house for $180,000 to put them in rehab for the for the intervention work. And that just seems to be, it's just my observation of what I've noticed as the trends, that parents don't move and take action until there's a problem. You just got to hope that that problem is not, contemplating the possibility of losing your son or daughter's life.
You're listening to the Alex Urbina Show, and his last segment, last few minutes, really kind of made me sad because, man, you hit upon a very sensitive subject with me, and that is we, as young parents, we don't know what to do. We don't know how to do it, and it's just what you said. All of a sudden, you get that call. It's amazing. People will spend thousands of dollars on a vacation, and they won't spend a few $100s to figure out how to, just what you said, how to expand their parentinghood, how to learn how to parent, how to change things up, how to experiment. It's just, go back to segment 1, which was talking about limiting beliefs. I mean, wow.
Let's take a class like effective communication.
Wow, yeah.
How to communicate with your son, how to communicate
with your kids.
Do you have
anything coming up like this? Do you have anything that I could help you get young parents? When parents should come somewhere around 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. Isn't all the parenting, I know, again, I apologize for the generalization, and I've only heard this through books or TV or something, but is most parenting take place from, let's say, age 4 to age 9 or 10, as you said? Isn't that the strong years?
I think you're parenting the minute that you realize that you're going to be a mom or dad. You're already in that mindset. So your mindset starts already. The minute that you get that pregnancy test and you go, oh my God, this is real, and you're excited. And that's the moment that you now put that parent hat on. And you're a coach in sports, so you know about mindset. Mindset's important. And I think the first thing you should do as a new parent is go, all right, honey, we need to get our parenting mindset figured out. Let's go get some books. Let's take some courses, do some workshops. We're going to have to keep investing in our ability to be an effective parent so that we really serve up our kids for a lifetime, nothing but beautiful wisdom, and set them up to win ultimately. I don't think parents or people even speak like that. They just get excited. They get caught up in, it's my son, it's my daughter, and they get caught up in, I love them, and then they just do the best we can. We just go in.
That's what they say.
We just do the best we can as parents.
Is your book, The Inspirational Parent, which I read, is it for young parents?
You know what's amazing is that The Inspirational Parent is a personal development book. So it's for everybody. It's not even necessarily about parents. It's just about how to keep evolving, how to be more conscious as a leader, as a human being. I have people that send me emails and are like, I'm not even a parent, and some of the stuff I'm learning out of these chapters is pretty phenomenal, and it's helping me grow. So it's more of a personal development book, but I geared it towards the parent who really wants to be more conscious, more aware, and really develop more of a loving heart and parent from their heart rather than parenting from their mind, which has all the fear and all the limiting beliefs. And that's what causes all the shortcomings when it comes to parenting.
You're listening to the Alex Urbina Radio Show every Friday at noon, and it's a very special man that we have here who has literally changed the lives of thousands of people over the years. You can contact him at alexurbina.com. His phone number is there.
Thank you so much. I want to jump on one more before we get into a break, and that is the observation I noticed when it comes to young people, young adults, and millennials, is that it appears to me that know how to be rigorously committed to something long enough for it to pay off dividends. It's like they get excited about something, but they don't know what rigorously committed even looks like. Rigorously committed looks like you're going to stay on course with whatever commitment you made or every goal you declared, no matter what, and even if it's to your last breath. And when you hear people like motivational speakers or successful people, and they talk about a certain business, including your guest, like the guest that you just had on, when he talked about this is something that I wanted, and he goes, he knew it was a lifetime commitment. And you could tell it was a rigorous commitment based on the things that he told us he did, like getting up at 4 a.m. He said he worked for 10 years straight without getting sick, never calling in out, and just nonstop. That's rigorous commitment. And I don't know if the young people in today's world have ever been taught that, have ever tapped into it, have ever been given a space for them to discover that they have that ability. I think kids in today's world they do the best they can for a little while, and then they jump on to what's next. They don't know how to run the course. They don't know how to just be rigorously committed. And I'm sure in your last business, you drank, you slept, you ate your business, and it was 24 hours a day.
For 25 years.
Like my business. I tell people I'm a businessman, but I don't get the luxury of clocking out at 5 o'clock. Yeah. My mind is still spinning.
Yeah. I'm
still taking phone calls. I gotta excuse myself from the dinner table to go take a phone call for somebody to support them or to empower them or get them back on course. But my business is 24/7, and it's because I'm rigorously committed, not to the business, but the difference I make in people.
But today, people need mentors, Alex. You and I grew up in a different generation. My guest, AJ, grew up in a different generation. There was no technology there. The communication was different. You went and got in your car, you went and saw people, or you picked up the telephone. It's a different world that these kids are growing up in, so there has to be an adjustment. I think the biggest adjustment is they need to find people like you. The schools should be talking about mentor programs, and every school should have a mentor because these kids don't know where to go. You know where they get their advice from? Their peer group. You know this. I'm preaching to the choir. Their peer group. What does their peer group know about growing anything?
Yeah, and social media. And I think, I agree with you. However, I'm also patient enough to know that it has to run its course, and we got to get to that stage somewhere in this world. And I don't know what it's going to take, but I can't force something or make something not be what it is. And I think it's also a rite of passage. Like, if I had my phone ringing off the hook with thousands of people calling me to be coach, I don't know if it would lose the value of it as well. But I think it's every phone call that I do get, it's like, all right, you've pre-qualified yourself to stage 1 to let me know that you're hungry. Because I only want to coach hungry people. I only want to coach people that are open-minded and willing to be coached and coachable. And we'll talk about more about that after the break. Stay tuned for more of the Alex Urbina radio show right here in your hometown station, KHTS.
Santa Clarita, bedbugs are taking over our city. They've invaded our homes, our businesses, and most importantly, our sleep. If you have suspicious bites that appear nightly, or have a bug that you need ID'd, your best option is to make one call to All Pro. We offer a 100% guarantee that your bedbug issues will be solved with heat in one treatment. No need to tent or spray your house with chemicals. Heat is all you need. Call 661-298-2200 or text me a bug picture to 661-645-0540. It's time to sleep tight again, SCV.
At Advanced Audiology, we know how important hearing is to you, your loved ones, your work success, your safety, and your ability to stay in the game. Most people won't admit hearing loss to themselves or others. We make it easy for you. Today's digital hearing aids come in a variety of styles, including invisible. All feature-rich, providing unparalleled hearing quality, wearing comfort, and automation that simplifies your life. Don't be fooled by our imitators. There's only one Advanced Audiology with the purple sign. next to AAA on Valencia Boulevard.
This is Greg from Consumers Furniture Gallery. For the past 41 years, we pride ourselves on offering quality name brand furniture at unbeatable prices. We carry a huge selection of dining and bedroom furniture in the latest styles and designs. We also have the largest selection of sofas and sectionals in the Santa Clarita Valley. You can choose your style, fabrics, leathers, and colors, or have one of our experts design it for you. Our mattress gallery features over 50 beds featuring Diamond and Serta. Consumers Furniture is located in the Center Point Shopping Center below Sam's Club and Walmart.
Hey there, it's Tori with your hometown station weather. Gorgeous day today. We're looking at mostly sunny skies with highs in the mid-70s, overnight lows in the mid-50s, almost perfect. A little bit warmer over the weekend, well, at least for Saturday, with a high of 80. And then on Sunday, back to a high of only 69. For anything and everything Santa Clarita Valley related, go to hometownstation.com.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
Welcome back to the Alex Urbina radio show, broadcasting live from Newhall, California, right here in your hometown station, KHTS. If you've missed any part of the show today, we're talking about feedback. I'm offering feedback to help millennials win big from some of my observations of the things that I noticed that millennials, where they play small, things that might be limiting them from accessing more of their full potential, little things that they've developed, little, habits, fears, doubts, insecurities that they might not necessarily know they have. And I think that's the number one thing when it comes to human beings is we're unaware of the things that get in our way. And what would it be like if we had somebody that we knew was on our team that was able to point that out to us in a loving way that could mentor us and go, look, kid, this is where your weakness is. Haven't you noticed that yet? Oh, my God, now I can see it. And then now that you can see it, now you can start changing it. And so I want to get back on to the last bullet point that I have when it comes to feedback about where I think millennials fall short. The very last one is, it appears to me that most millennials have some possible addictions, some distractions and or bad habits that get in the way of them focusing on things that they need to develop in order to create the results that they say they want. So could it be possible that you might have some addictions, distractions, or bad habits? And when I say addictions, I don't necessarily mean outer addictions, because we all know about outer addictions, right? Like drinking, drugs. But there's interpersonal addictions that some of us don't realize. Social media is a big interpersonal addiction that we might have. Screen time. I think I saw some stats on the average young adult. They spend thousands of hours on their phones. Now, when you and I were growing up, we didn't have those distractions. We didn't have the internet to distract us. So what did we focus on? We focused on networking. We focused on creating relationships with people. We focused on communicating better. We focused on all the interpersonal qualities that it takes to be successful in business. We weren't interested in looking at who's doing what or who's got the best clothes or any of that stuff.
Such a great subject. My goodness, we could do another 5 hour. You just nailed it. This is what is going on in our society. Our society is distracted. And we don't have enough time. You and Ellen need to do a whole show on this, because at the end of the day, this is what is causing real problems in our society. People are so distracted, they can't focus. Go back to all the things you said in the last hour. You can't focus. How can you stay committed if you can't focus? And they can't focus because they're distracted. It's a vicious circle.
Yeah, it's amazing. I have some clients that occasionally I'll get the client that'll say, Alex, I can't sleep at night. I'm having trouble sleeping. And then I'll say to them, what does your ritual look like before you go to sleep? And 9 times out of 10, people just decide it's bedtime and they go to bed. They don't do any winding down. They don't do an intentional moment to debrief the day or to talk out their day or get it off their chest, or they don't do no meditation, no prayer, none of that stuff to transition them into sleeping. So that's number one. Number two is a lot of people don't realize how stimulated we are every day, all day long. So you're like this. You're wired up because you've flipped through thousands of Facebook or Instagram pages. You've watched 30,000 videos in a day. So we're like this. We're overstimulated. Of course you're not going to be able to sleep. When you try to sleep, your wheel's spinning because, one, you never took an intentional moment to slow it down and tell your mind, hey, mind, we're going to bed now. We need to get some rest. You didn't do any kind of traditional transitioning into taking time to sleep so you can heal yourself at night so that tomorrow morning you're reinvested back into a renewed you. And so we just go from day to day, stimulation, 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 and we wonder why we're stressed. We wonder why we have anxieties. We wonder why all that, because this brain is like a hamster wheel that just constantly spinning.
I'm going to have anxiety if Kansas City Chiefs don't win on Super Bowl. Who are you taking on Super Bowl?
I'm going to take the Chiefs.
Thank
I'm going to
God.
take the Chiefs. Yeah.
His name is Alex Urbina, and ladies and gentlemen, I'm just telling you, from Coach Ron Tunick to you, my dear listeners, he has helped our family in the last few years so dramatically. We're so better off because of you, Alex.
I appreciate that. You're embarrassing me, but
no,
I'll take it. Thank you.
Really, I mean, it's unbelievable. If people could just talk about you, and if you have dear listeners, tell your friends, man, noon every Friday. I'm telling you, if you just remember one word, one phrase, one idea that Alex talked about today, and just work it next week, watch out what's going to happen. Your life's going to get better, just like mine and Ellen's life has gotten better. Thank God to you, man.
And I appreciate if you could just if you found value in today's show, just take a moment, find the video after it's posted, and then maybe tag some parents that have young adults and just say, hey, I was thinking about your son Johnny. Maybe you want to send this to him.
I'm gonna when I get home, I'm gonna tag it.
Yeah, just share it so
I'm gonna share it with. I've got 5,000 followers.
Because I'm thinking to myself, so you've hit the max already. You can't even take.
No, I can't. I can't. People beg me. I can't take you. You know.
People beg you.
Yeah, they're begging me. Can't do it. Alex Urbina every Friday at noon. You're so humble, but you got to talk a little bit about how people can find you at alexurbina.com.
I appreciate that. But if you can just share this information, the podcast, with your friends who have that are parents and have kids, whether they're teenagers, young adults. I'm thinking to myself, Ron, if I'm a young adult and my mom says, hey, I got this book for you, read it, I'm just going, yeah, whatever. But if she figured out a creative way to send it to me and it subtly dangled it there or emailed it to me, maybe on an off chance I click on it, listen to a little bit of it, and maybe it was the right time for me to listen to a show like this where they're getting insight and getting somebody that's courageous enough that has the audacity to point out some things to them and do some real talk. Because I think that's all we did today was some real talk. Thanks for taking the time to hang out with me. I appreciate you, Ron. That's all the time we have. Thanks for listening to the Alex Urbina Radio Show right here in your hometown station, KHTS.